Recently, I attended the Sun Youth Forum of Las Vegas, and there was a lot of topics, but I chose teen topics, and we just talked about a lot of things that are going on in schools and high schools today, and I thought they were very interesting, and I thought they should be shared. I went around asking a bunch of students what they thought, and I gotten a few responses, and so the first question is, do you think high school has prepared us enough for the real world?
In the real world? Yes and no. I take business classes at Centennial, and they have been helpful in teaching me how to write a check, how to be an entrepreneur, how to market myself, presentation, a bunch of other stuff that will help me in the real world, but not every school has that kind of opportunity, so I don't think that schools in general have prepared us for the real world.
Stuff like that. So in my experience, I haven't had any of that in school. I've learned all of it through my parents. Taxes specifically, I still don't have a great understanding of it. The only thing I've really learned to do is present, which is helpful, but I have no idea how to find a house and rent a house or establish a bank account or a checking account or anything of that such.
Immediately, I think no. I don't think our classes prepare us for the real world at that moment. I think that later on the skills that we learn in those classes, like patience and stuff like that, I think that prepares us for the real world, but when it comes to doing things like your taxes or
so in general,
a direct
they haven't taught us
deposit
important
or how to
things,
pay your
but
bills,
they have taught us to be patient
like that, I don't
and
think that
how to
schools prepare
present
us for that
stuff,
at all.
but not taxes
Yeah.
and houses and all that. Another question that I thought was interesting was if high schools account for the students that have jobs and take up a lot of their time. And here were what people thought.
Teachers give us too much homework. That's a perspective kind of question. I think that schools need to accommodate more for kids who have jobs because, you know, school gets out 1:25 and then they're rushing to work at 2 o'clock across town, and then they're working until 10, and then they're coming home and working until 1 o'clock on their English project that they have due tomorrow. And it's not really their fault because, say, they're trying to help their parents pay bills, and it's not necessarily their fault that they don't have any time. I do believe that we still need homework to help us learn, but not as much homework as teachers do with us.
I need too much homework. In my personal experience, yes, I have had internships, ski coaching jobs, and caddying jobs, and on those days that I have work or babysitting, I babysit as soon as I get back from school, and I'm babysitting normally till 10 or 11 at night, and I have no time to do any of my homework. Some may say that's my fault, but that you gotta do what you gotta do in order to help your parents out and stuff like that. But my school specifically, since I go to Northwest Tech, they give an excessive amount of homework. Specifically, and especially since I'm in the biomed program, they expect a lot out of us, and there's at least an hour per class per night.
No, I do not think that high school teachers take into account that kids have other things to do when it comes to homework, because a lot of the time you have an hour of homework for each class, and you still have to make sure you go to your clubs on time, your extracurricular activities, your work.
It's hard to get all my schoolwork done
so no,
and
I
still
don't
have a social life and get my work done too.
think that they take into
But
account
the next
that we have other
question
things going on
is,
in
if
our
schools
lives
have done enough
besides
about
their
the
classes.
vaping issue on campus.
Are on school, and I don't think so at all, because I'll be sitting in class and like 3 seats away, I'll see someone hitting their vape or Juul, whatever, and it's disrupting to the class. And most of the time, students are good at hiding it from teachers, but I think teachers also don't care, and I think they need to be more aware of what's happening in their classroom and more aware of the things that are bringing danger to students' health.
Definitely not. They don't really address it at all, other than random searches that seem to happen. These random searches aren't really effective. And then I feel like they also don't inform us enough about the consequences associated with vaping. So students just feel like they do it because their friends do it and it's just fun to do kind of thing. When in reality, there's a lot of illnesses associated with it. So I think informing the student body more would be helpful, as well as cracking down on actual helping the students to stop vaping in general.
Personally, I don't think that schools have done enough when it comes to vaping on campuses. I mean, personally, I would wish that people, like, when people would get caught vaping, they would be taken away.
I definitely don't think that schools have done enough about it. I think there needs to be a wider search maybe, or teachers need to care a little bit more.
I think an investigation could
off that topic, we're going to go to
them trying to find out where these kids are getting their vapes at. How are they getting them? Because it's legal for them to even have one. But yeah, I don't think they do enough.
Cyberbullying. In my opinion, no. I have been bullied since my freshman year, when I'd be sitting alone at lunch and kids would come by and throw food at me and spit milk at me and throw apples at me and trip me in the hallways. Even though they don't know me personally, I was just a loner, so they thought, oh hey, it's an opportunity. And teachers monitor the hallways and they see, but they just stand there and do nothing. So personally, I think they could do a better job at preventing bullying in our schools.
Enough about bullying. Personally, no. The
For
primary
me,
form
I think it's
of
really
bullying
sad
in
to
my
hear about
school
these
is
stories
verbal.
and
There
see nothing get
isn't
done
really
about them
any
half the
physical
time.
kind of bullying,
And I think it
but,
needs to be a bigger issue to be resolved.
The
But
verbal
the next
bullying
question is, have
really
schools
taken as
given you the
jokes, and
opportunities
teachers
and
don't
shown
take
you
it
different
seriously.
things other than
But
college?
over and over again, just beating into people, it really affects them mentally and physically, as it can lead them into depression and things similar to that. But I really think teachers should pay attention more and actually have conversations with students who are bullies.
The school. In my opinion, yes and no. We have ROTC, which helps kids go into the Air Force or Army or military, wherever they want to go after college. But it hasn't really established those who don't want to go to college and, actually get a job, like those who want to be an entrepreneur right after and they just want to invest in stocks and start up their own business and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't prepare us for those kinds of realities outside, where everyone's just like, oh, we have this college coming to campus, we have this college coming to campus, which students don't really take awareness of. And instead, when they end up deciding that they don't want to go to college, it's not like, here, let me help you through this program and get a job here. Let's help you find an internship abroad for this program. It doesn't have those types of things like other schools do in other states, and I think that's severely lacking the education system.
College through the school. Personally, no. It's seen as an expectation to go to college at my school, despite the fact that they don't help us with the college process at all. They expect us to go to college, and they see that if we don't go to college, we're simply going to work at McDonald's. which doesn't really make sense because they also don't prepare us for job interviews or anything of that such. So it's kind of very lacking in our school system.
I cannot stress this enough. Schools put way too much pressure on students going to college. And so, like, have a good ACT score, you won't get into a good college. Do this or you won't get into a good, do this and this and this and this. When in reality, the things that they're pressuring us about, they won't matter when we're in college. Most colleges nowadays are not even looking at ACT scores anymore. They're like, oh, this is your ACT score, it's really kind of low, but this is your GPA, and this is what you got in your classes, and those two things don't match up. So, there's way too much emphasis on going to college. Not every person in this world is meant to be a college student, and that's just the cold hard truth. And I think that teachers and any school officials ingrain it into kids' head that you have to go to college. You have to go to college and to be something. I mean, in reality, all you have to have is determination. You can make anything you want for yourself if you're determined. Going to a school has nothing to do with that. You can still make $800 a week, $100,000 a year without having any schooling.
I definitely agree that there has been too much pressure on going to college, and there's other options like trade school or just going into straight a job and internships and all that, but we're not open to it, so we don't know about it, and we all just get stuck picking wrong majors and never finishing college and all that. Thank you for watching my school documentary, and I hope you agree with a lot of these topics that we talked about, and I hope that you're heard and you talk about it too.